Hey, you fucks. Thanks for, checking out the videos, showing a little bit of support. How about you take it to the next level and show us some love over there on Patreon, huh? Huh? Huh?
Like a rock, bow. I was strong as I could be, like a rock, bow. Nothing ever got to me, like a rock. I was something to see, like a rock. Oh man, hey, anybody remember those old Chevy truck commercials? I remember. Do you remember? Hey guys, what's up? This is Papa Tico coming to you live from, hey, it's a premiere and we're doing a rant video where I'm talking over B-roll footage. Oh my gosh. How you guys going? This is footage from a rant where the microphone wasn't working, so, yeah, enjoy the nice ambience and stuff while I'm talking over this. Anyway, we've got like a fun topic to talk about today because we are going to be talking about Japanese movies, and one of the reasons why I'm talking about this from a recording at home versus on the bike is because I had a lot of movies that I wanted to cover, and yeah, I was just like, I need a list in front of me so I can remember all of them. So, yep. Anyway, yeah, let's get to it here. With all these different movies. And yeah, guys, like always, I appreciate everybody coming in here and helping out the videos. And like, before you get comfortable and start doing whatever you're doing, smash the like button for me and leave a comment. And the comment's really simple. It's just the question is just for you guys is like, what's a Japanese movie that you like? If I didn't mention any here, that you like, write them down. I'm always looking for new movies, and if I did mention a movie that you like, tell me why you like it. Part of these rants are like about the discussion and stuff that happened here. So yeah, get to it, you sons of bitches. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's I was talking to my very, very super good best friend, Cracky Reeds, the other day during one of his live streams. And we were talking about, why it's so awesome to study Japanese, like why it's the coolest thing to study Japanese and why Japanese kicks ass. And, one of the big reasons is just simply like if you wanted to learn any other language, no other country has anime or like cool movies or whatever, or cool music, and so like that's like a really nice thing about Japan is that like if you wanted to learn Japanese, they've got all these comic books, they've got all this like Japanese animation, they've got video games. Like there's so much media that if you are not immediately in Japan, you have all of these options to like hear real native Japanese that was meant for Japanese people. And like I hate it when I fucking see these people that are like, you like anime? Well, I live in Japan and I just never liked anime. I don't like anything. I don't like guys. I don't like girls. It's just like God, they I don't know. It's just like, why don't they, I don't know, man. It's just like, it's like going to, I don't know. It's like going to like an NRA meeting and not like, and just trying to like avoid learning anything about guns or even gun safety or like how guns are made or something. It's like, what's the point of going there? And they're like, oh, well, I came for the people and like the refreshments and like I needed a reason to get out of the house. And I'm like, you're fucking bitch, dude. You're fucking bitch, man. You're just shut up, bitch. To quote Jim, Kid Shoryuken, shut up, bitch. But anyway, we're at the 4-minute point here, so guys, just do me a favor. Let me do some self-spiel for a second and just remind all of you that I don't make any money off of these rants with Google AdSense or whatever. The views aren't that good, and it's fine, but this is 100% fan-funded, so if you guys want to help out the channel, consider going over to patreon.com/TikyoSam and signing up for stuff. We've got a secret blog, we've got behind-the-scenes footage, we've got Japanese lessons. Didn't you ever wonder, man, I really want to learn Japanese, but I just don't know how, and like everything, there's too many options out there, and I don't know what to choose. Well, I'm a translator, and I speak Japanese pretty well, so Yeah, if you want it, like, you know, if you think about it, Japanese lessons are like what? If you go to like a regular college, you know, it's probably like a couple $100 a semester, and you're only like going there a couple hours a week, and it's bullshit, right? My lessons are like $35 a month, and you get a free manga in the mail. So it's a pretty good deal. I should change that, actually. It's like I lose too much money with that and the shipping and shit. But whatever, man. I mean, like, my whole goal is just that you guys learn Japanese and you actually, like, kind of stick with it. And so, yeah, consider going over to Patreon and signing up. And if you guys are coming to visit, consider signing up for tours. I'm only offering 2 a month. So, you know, if you're planning on coming in, get in there while the getting's good. And just message me on Discord if you're interested. And, yeah, if you guys don't care about Patreon or whatever, you can always become a member here. Look at that motherfucker. He just did a U-turn right in front of me. You son of a bitch. And you could either, you can become a member here on this channel or the other channel, or you can do a super chat. And all of that money will extend the time of the live stream that happens after each upload. So, yeah, thank you guys so much. And if you don't want to donate anything, you can just go and smash the like button and hit the subscribe button. YouTube unsubscribed me from a bunch of people that I watch. It's weird because, like, it wasn't even people that I don't watch that often. Like, it's like Guelo60. I watch almost every one of his videos. Fucking YouTube unsubscribed me from him. I'm like, wait, what? You know? Yeah, like another YouTuber I love to watch, Civi11. Yeah, like he's a game YouTuber who talks about like FPS games and stuff. They unsubscribed me from him too. I'm like, what? So yeah, make sure the subscribe button is hit. And yeah, and like it's funny. I did a video of John Dobb the other week, and like somebody in the comments was like, I didn't even know you were still uploading. I thought you only did live streams. And I'm like, dude, motherfucker, like look on the profile. Like the profile shows all the new uploads. You son of a bitch. But yeah, anyway, all that cool sexy information's there. But anyway, yeah, guys, this is another beautiful sunny day here in Tokyo, riding the spaghetti. And it's funny, those gloves that I'm wearing right now in the video are actually, I bought these in Okinawa because I forgot to bring my motorcycle gloves. And yeah, these are like and they're really nice and snug. And yeah, I have 2 kinds of gloves. I have ones for summer that have like holes in them, so they get good ventilation. And then I've got these ones which are like kind of like they're fleecy, kind of like rubber grip gloves for when it's windy or rainy outside. So it's nice. It's a good balance. You got to have different gloves, you know. And man, we're in Shibuya in this part of the video, and I'm just like, God, everything's changed so much in Shibuya. It looks so different. Yeah, like that, I don't know. It's just all these new buildings are up and everything. And hey, like, I'm happy that people like what they like, but just, I don't know. When they got rid of that 50 yen game arcade, you know, I lost my reason to go to Shibuya. Shibuya used to be like a fun place where like cheap teens could go to hang out, and now it's just become a place where like spoiled rich kids go. I mean, to be fair, it was always kind of a spoiled rich kid place, but at least there was a balance of having like, you know, cheap places for cheap people to go and stuff too. And yeah, now it seems just like it's just like all spoiled rich kids who live in Japan. That's all they do. They go there, spend their parents' money. A big shout out to Tokyo real estate guy. I forgot his full screen name, but he was a dude who I met in Shibuya, and he was just this down to earth, like really chill, kind of like surfer dad dude. And I think he has like 2 grown-up kids. Like he's married. He's been here for a while. And he was telling me how he's like, dude, like the real estate market is crazy. Like, you know, Shibuya, it's super developing. Like, I'm going to buy like 2 new condos up here because like a lot of people, they don't want to commute into Shibuya, even though like there's so many like train lines to commute into Shibuya with. So I'm going to buy some more properties because like, you know, Shibuya's got, you know, it's going to be prime real estate. And he was so right. This was like 10 or 13 years ago. And yeah, Shibuya's all super fucking developed now. It's just so funny when you just like pause and have some foresight, you know. But anyway, that's another story for another time, because today we're talking about Japanese movies. Now, take in mind, like, I wrote down a list of just movies off the top of my head that I could remember, and but also like I did Google a couple of these to refresh my mind. But I know that there's a couple movies that I don't think foreigners have seen, or at least they're not popular foreigners, and so I'm going to try to remember those too. And I'm guessing that we won't have enough time to cover all of the movies. And so if you guys like this topic and you want me to cover it again, make sure you let me know in the comment section, so I'll make a part 2 or a part 3 to this. And yeah, a big special thank you to, I'll make sure to put this in either like while we're watching the premiere. By the way, hello everyone in the premiere chat, how you doing? Yeah, check in and say hi in the premiere chat if you're here. Yeah, I need to like write down timestamps for all of this too. So if anybody wants to help with timestamps, because we're gonna cover quite a bit of movies, yeah, let me know. Like, I mean, big bonus if you guys can do that in the comments section. If you do that, then I'll just copy and paste it into the video description, and we can do it that way. So yeah, muchos Garcias por flavor, guys. Anyway, yeah, first movie I want to talk about is, so it's like, you know, there's all these Japanese movies, right, that come out. Like I said before, it's just like Japan has so much good media, but just like everywhere else, there's a lot of good, there's like as much, for every like one good movie out there, there's 9 shitty movies out there, right? And so I'm going to try to cover mostly the good ones, and, but I mean, like, you know, there's even though this is like supposed to be IRL movies, I do have a mention or two of an anime movie in here too. And yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward for your guys' recommendations in the comments too. So anyway, first movie is a movie that I really liked. It's about this guy who, him and his wife, they it's called Okuribito. In the English version, I think it was called Departures. And Okuribito is a movie about this guy, and he's a normal salaryman or whatever, and his wife is just normal housewife, and his mom dies or something, and so he has to go back to the countryside place where he used to live, and he goes back there, and he's trying to find a job, and he just can't find a job anywhere, and just like, what the fuck? And this is like back in the day where like internet searches weren't really a big thing yet, so he's in the newspaper looking for some jobs around there, and he finds this one job that pays a lot, and it's a very vague job description, so he's like, this is kind of sketch, and but it pays good, so fuck it. So he goes, you know, like he decides, like, you know, so they decide to move back to the countryside, and you know, it's great. I don't think they're paying rent or whatever, and they just fucking what is it, like, they're just like he becomes this kind of mortician guy's like this mortician guy's assistant, where they go and they find, you know, like the body is dead, and the cops don't have to do an autopsy because they died normally or whatever, and then they basically clean up the body and do like kind of like a spiritual ritual to like help it, you know, go or whatever. And anyway, the whole movie is just about this guy becoming an apprentice to this older dude who does that, and it's very simple. It's a very like kind of clean movie, but it's really heartfelt, and they have this like montage in the middle of it, or I think at the end of it, where it's just like, wow, like I don't really like get emotional and stuff when I watch movies, especially Japanese movies, but like, wow, that was a really good movie. I don't want to spoil it too much, so I suggest you guys go into it without even watching the preview. And yeah, check it out. There is like a cringe scene where the guy, like, he's having like a panic attack or something, and he can't just tell his wife, like he can't just communicate to her because he's just, I don't know, lame-o beta guy. And so he just like tries to start having sex with his wife, and it's super cringe. Like, they didn't really need to put that in the movie, but I understand why. But it's just like, you know. But anyway, yeah, aside from that one scene, it's a pretty good movie, so go check it out. Another movie that I really like is called Kids Return, and it's by Beat Takashi. And you guys know Beat Takashi, right? The guy, fucking Japanese, you know, the guy from the Brothers series, you know. He talks all funny and shit. He was the teacher in Battle Royale, and yeah, he's this ex-comedian who was in a bunch of movies, and then he started to direct and make his own movies. And one of the first movies that he made was Kids Return. Hold on a second. And Kids Return follows the story of these two dudes. and they're like high schoolers at the beginning of the movie, right? And it's basically like a story following them from being kids all the way to like being like maybe 30 or 40 years old. And it just shows how like the influences around you really do affect who you are. And it's like this Reddit quote I saw the other day from one of those Reddit like things I saw on Reddit, like videos on YouTube. And it's like, if you hang around with criminals, you'll eventually do crime. If you hang around with people who do drugs, you'll eventually do drugs. And you know, if you hang around rich people, eventually they'll just use you to, you know, further their cause and then just throw you away. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, it's like in the movie, like these two guys, they have such potential, but they really get like their personality, identity, the way of thinking, like really influenced by the older people in their lives, and like some of it's good, but some of it's bad. And I really liked how they showed that in the movie. I thought it was very like, I don't know, it's again like one of those Japanese movies where the plot is not that complicated, but it makes you really think about like, oh yeah, like wow, like if I have kids, I gotta make sure they're hanging out with the right people. And but the movie, it's just it's also the movie, one of the reasons why that movie is so special is because it's the music is made by Joe Higashi. I want to say Joe Higashi from Fatal Fury, but I think his name is Joe Hisashi, and he's one of the guys who does music for the Ghibli movies. So if you like movies like fucking like Princess Mononoke and shit, I'm pretty sure he worked on the similar movies like that. So the soundtrack is like something super epic, you know. It's like when Hans Zimmerman did the soundtrack for Rain Man or something, you know. It's like, what the fuck, this guy does like Inception and all this other shit, but he's just doing it for like this movie about two brothers and like, you know, whatever. Like it gives the movie a whole lot deeper meaning when you have this music that's just super emotional and just super like you know, rememberable or whatever, you know. And so yeah, and that and the Kids Return movie, it's got some funny humor in it too. Like you know, this is one of those things where like I think you can pick up on it even if you're not in Japan or you haven't lived in Japan for a while, but like Japanese humor likes to do like not a bait and switch, but what is it? It's like they say one thing and then they like, you know, like, so for example, like the humor is like, so the high school kids, when they go to this one local restaurant, it's just like a mom and pop shop, and the high schooler's like, hey, I'll have a gyoza, I'll have like a dumpling like rice set or whatever, and I'll have a beer. And the owner's like, okay, right there. And then there's a Yakuza sitting right next to him, and he's like, and the Yakuza's like, hey, you're a high schooler, you shouldn't be drinking beer. And then the high schooler's like, oh yeah? He's like, oh bullshit. He's like, there aren't any laws saying that high schoolers can't drink beers. And the Yakuza's like, wait a second, yeah, there totally is law saying that. He's like, you know, I love that. He's like, you know, show, what is it? Mise wa sake wa nonji ikenai janai kayo. And then like the guy's like, souyu sake mise tachi wa sake wa nonji ikenai no horitsu toka wa anno ka? And then like the Yakuza's like, arun janai kayo. Like, you know, like there totally is. What are you talking about? And I don't know. That's such like a clear, perfect example of Japanese humor. It's just so fucking funny, right? And yeah, you love it. You gotta love it, right? And anyway, yeah, it's one of the fun movies that Beat Takashi did. He does like a lot of movies that are like kind of like negative or sad or whatever, and that movie was pretty good. You know, I liked that movie. You should check it out. It's good. Next is, I already talked about this in my Yakuza movies rant, but the movie Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive is pretty fucking badass. It's cool. And yeah, Dead or Alive is basically this movie where this guy who's a detective, he's an organized crime detective, and he's trying to find all these other fucking pieces of shit that are, this one group is ripping off other fucking, like, other gangsters and shit. And so, and it's a film by the director Takashi Miike, which is funny because Beat Takashi Miike, right? Similar guys, right? Similar names. But It's not so much like a crime, like a thriller, right? Like a crime thriller. It's more about just the people that are involved in the crime and involved in like the police, like like what is it, persecution of these criminals and stuff. But it's filmed in a way that just seems like it's really stylish, but also down to earth. And Takashi Miike is one of those directors where before SJW stuff was a big fucking stupid message. Like he was one of those guys that like he made it a point in most of his movies to have foreign characters or like a foreign actor. Like he really wanted to have like that representation that it's like it's not just about Japanese people, it's about foreigners and stuff too, right? And I really, really like that about his stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of things I could say about that, but overall, just go check it out. It's Dead or Alive by Takashi Miike. That's what you got to do. Okay, next is a movie that it's funny. I couldn't really find that much information about it in English, but it's called 1010. Or I think the English name of it is Adrift in Tokyo. And it's a movie about this guy. He's like, I think he's like a college student that dropped out or something, and he's just being a piece of shit. And all he does is like gamble now. And he has a bunch of debt with some Yakuza, right? And so the Yakuza are always coming over and they're like kicking his ass and they're like, where's the fucking money? And the dude is just running away, like he's running away but not really running away. Like he still lives in the same apartment so those guys can find him and shit, right? And so basically one day this Yakuza guy who's in charge of collecting the debts, he comes over to him and he's like, look, okay dude, like I know you got all this debt and stuff with my Yakuza group, so look, I'll make a deal with you. I just want to spend the day walking around Tokyo. And yeah, if you come with me and you walk around Tokyo with me, I've got all the money that you need to pay back my Yakuza group with. And the college kid's like, what's the catch? And he's like, there's no catch. I just want to go on a walk around Tokyo, and I just want you to come with me. I don't have any friends, and you all this random shit happens with the two characters while they're walking around, and both of the actors are really good. Like sometimes like it's either like the Japanese actor is just really bad at acting. Like they have that a lot in Japan where they have all these like models try to be actors and they're just shitty and they've got no fucking ability. And sometimes it's just a shitty director that's like purposely making the actor look bad kind of thing, right? And hold on. Coffee, why? But in this movie, the actors were like so memorable, and it's just a simple premise, right? Like a Yakuza and a college kid are just walking around town, kind of having an adventure. And I won't spoil it because I think it's a good movie to check out. Again, I think it's called Adrift in Tokyo. You can probably find it on the Bay of Pirates if you want. But I don't want to say too much about the movie, but it's not like a super deep movie or anything, but it's one of those things where it's like it's good to watch the story reveal itself over the whole movie. Like, it's part of the experience, right? And again, it's not like a deep story or anything, but it's one of those movies where it's like, wow, I had an experience and that was interesting. And I don't see any English blogs talking about this at all, so you guys should go check it out. Again, in Japanese, it was called 10 space 10, like a TEN. So go check that out. This was another movie that I didn't see any blogs talking about, but I rented it originally because I like Nagase Tomoya, and Nagase Tomoya is the guy who was the main actor on Ikebukuro Westgate Park. And yeah, Ikebukuro Westgate Park, it's like my favorite TV show in Japan of all time. And anyway, Nagase Tomoya he's this guy who's in his own band called Tokyo, and he used to be one of those like gay J-pop idol guys and stuff. And anyway, he's not in a lot of stuff, but he's got such like a lasting impression when he does his acting, and I really like watching him. Like, even if it's a shitty movie or whatever, I always like watching him and just seeing the stuff that he makes. And anyway, Knocking on Heaven's Door, this is like a heavy movie, and it's got a little bit of cheese to it. Like, you know, it's a little. You have to suspend suspend some disbelief when watching this, but it's like, you know, Japanese movies have, in my opinion, they have the expectation of being downers. I don't know why Japanese movies love doing that so much, but like there's a shit ton of Japanese movies where it's just like they end really depressingly. Like there's always like a sad ending. Like the person who worked really hard to get something dies. Like it's always like that. And so you always expect it to be depressing. Or like if you watch like Grave of the Fireflies or something, or BareFootGen, it's depressing. And in this movie, it's depressing from the start. But like you realize that like the journey's just starting now, kind of thing. And here's me parking spaghetti in front of the pizza slice in Jiro. And guys, let me just put it this way: this place is all right. It's alright, pizza slice or whatever it's called. But the pizza slice in Shibuya is way better. Now this pizza slice, they had no pink lemonade. They had no fucking they had no garlic knots, and that's the whole point of that shit. And so, meh, it sucks. I wouldn't go there again. If yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to the one in Shibuya. But it was cool. I met some really cool dudes there, including the Gaijin Foodie and Wild Llama or whatever on Twitter. So that was cool. But yeah, I just randomly ran into those guys there. What is it? But yeah, Knocking on Heaven's Door is about this dude who like he kind of like passes out one day at work, so he goes to the doctor to see what's up, and it turns out he has like a giant tumor in his head, and like there's no way to operate on it, and like if they tried, he's just gonna die. So they're like, sorry dude, you have like less than a week, and then you're gonna die. And he's like, well, what the fuck do I do? And they're like, well, yeah, I guess you're just gonna stay here and keep having seizures until you fucking die. And that's all we can do. And so he's like, oh, this fucking sucks. And so he just basically, he stays in the hospital, and he becomes friends with this girl who, I forgot if she's dying or like she needs like a kidney transplant or something, but she's just been in the hospital for a while. And, you know, the outcome doesn't look good for either of them. So he's like, fuck it. Like, she like convinces him, like, let's just fucking leave the hospital. And, like, let's go experience, like, life before this shit, you know, like, while we still have it. And he's like, okay, yeah, fine. And then they find this one Yakuza guy's, like, car that has, like, a bunch of money in it. And so they're like, let's just go fucking spend this money and just fucking, like, go nuts. And yeah, it's just the story of what happens after that, you know? And yeah, you know, it's a really touching movie. Like I said, like there's some cheese in it. Like who the fuck like has a car just full of money like randomly around and stuff, you know? Like but I mean, you have to, again, like that's part of the suspension of disbelief kind of thing, right? So, but the movie's really touching, and the acting's really good, and the ending is just it's so it's one of those movies where you're like, wow, I'm gonna remember that fucking ending. Like, wow, they ended it just the way they should have fucking ended it. And yeah, I think I'm gonna rewatch that again soon, because that movie was just, that was fucking, it was pure. Like the cocainum, like the nomadic gaijin. It was just too pure. So, yeah, Premiere boys, can we get some nomadic gaijin in the Premiere chat hype, please? Thank you very much. Yeah, so anyway, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Japan movie. Check that out. Next, you know, it's funny because, like, they, you know, in Japan, they love Guns N' Roses. So, yeah, it's probably based off of that. And, yeah, I hated fucking, on a separate note, I hated fucking, this is one reason why I don't like Southern Tokyo that much. I'm in Hiro in this video, and it's super posh, rich neighborhood. And all these neighborhoods, they just have all these windy-ass, tiny fucking streets that are very hard to go through, and they're all dead ends, and they just, it sucks. Like, and I get it. Like, early Japan, early Tokyo, they made the streets like this on purpose, so if they got invaded, the rich people had more time to, like, run away because the streets were harder to navigate. I get it, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. Anyway, on to the next movie. People always love to talk about Akira Kurosawa. He's like one of the most famous old school directors in all of Japan. he's a cool dude, you know, like he made a lot of fucking memorable movies. And all these people always remember him for samurai movies. When he made a bunch of movies that, are, like, you know, more than half of his movies aren't even about samurai. You know, like they're about just like people during a certain time or whatever. Like he has non-samurai type movies. But yeah, I'm not really into those movies. I don't really care. I know that he's got like Tokyo Story, I think, or like Ikiru, you know, all these different fucking movies, and they're all right. But and I know Rashomon. Rashomon is like one of like Quentin Tarantino's like one of his favorites or whatever. But yeah, I don't really care. You know, that Rashomon movie, it's stupid. Like, you know, it's just like, hey, I got captured and now I'm gonna lie about like raping and killing people and stuff. I don't know. It's just stupid. But you know, like I get it. At the time, it was really big and really cool and stuff. But when I think of Akira Kurosawa, there's two movies that really stick out in my memory. And the first one is, of course, if we're going to talk about like kind of samurai and stuff, we're going to talk about Yojimbo. Yojimbo is the story of this guy who, I guess he's like ex-samurai, he's a ronin or whatever, and he comes across this like village, and the village is ruled, there's no government presence. It's just ruled by these two Yakuza groups. And oh yeah, look at this video, by the way. You know you're in a rich area when the schoolyard is actually green and it's not a dirt fucking yard. Yeah, that's, you know you're in a posh area when it's like, oh wait, that schoolyard's green and it's not asphalt. I bet it's still AstroTurf, but still, you know. But anyway, yeah, it's just like, in Yojimbo, basically, this one guy, he pits both of these Yakuza families against each other, and each time he gets paid by them. You know, like he switches sides a bunch, so then he gets paid by them, and eventually, I guess he gets them to destroy themselves. If you guys ever watched fucking Samurai Champloo, there's a whole episode dedicated to like sharing like this similar story. It's pretty funny. But yeah, anyway, check that out. It's a pretty good one, Yojimbo. It's old school, and yeah, I don't know. It's just it's interesting. I liked it. There's another Akira Kurosawa movie that's it takes place again in samurai times, but it's not about a samurai. It's about a doctor, and his name is Akahige, which means red beard, and it's really cool. It's just this movie about this guy who's a doctor, and but he also kicks ass. And it's weird because like everyone always thinks that he's just gonna do a movie about fighters or samurai, but no, this movie's just more about this doctor in this like town that he's kind of in charge of and helping. And I don't know, it was pretty interesting. It's a pretty good movie. So I don't know, I could say more about it, but overall it's a pretty interesting movie. You guys should go check it out. It's pretty cool. And okay, as for the next movie, this movie's kind of cheating because it's an anime movie. It's not a IRL, like, you know, movie, but Akira. You know that movie took like 5 or 6 years to make and animate? Yeah, Akira is like it's like this hour-and-a-half fucking motorcycle movie, and it's pretty badass. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like, Akira, it's basically about, like, it's like a cyberpunk dystopian Tokyo future where, like, corporations run everything, and the government is just, it's got its head up its ass, you know? The government and the bureaucracy is just fucking over the country too much, and then all the youth, you know, there's too many, like, kids living in orphanages, and it's so bad that, like, all of these kids, like, they don't only, like, they live in, like, these giant institutions where, like, they basically, it's just, you know, they're stuck going to school, but then they're all bike gangs and stuff, and, anyway, yeah, it's just, it's a mix of, like, cyberpunk with like, psychics, and, all this just different shit, and it's so interesting, you know, it's so cool. And yeah, I don't know, it's just like the movie alone, just for the amount of animation that it has, it's just like it's one of those movies where it's like you need to watch it. Like, for all of your friends who ever say like, oh, I just don't like anime or something, like, have them watch that movie. Like, that's the one that, like, I think is really gonna convince people that, like, they should fucking get into Akira, they should get into anime, you know? It's that fucking good. And yeah, I just, you know, to be fair though, the only thing I don't like about it is just that, like, the Akira series, the manga, is like 6 books long. It's really, and like it's not just like a tiny book, it's like a giant fucking book. And the like it's literally the size of probably like 3 phone books combined. It's fucking massive. And the movie only covers the first 2 books. And I was like, what? And like, wait, there's something that happens at the end of the movie. And yeah, like if I like Akira because if you watch that movie and you really like it, you're gonna read the manga. And if you read the manga, you're gonna be like, wow, this is a good fucking story. And even like, I don't know, this is a long time ago, but even on the internet, there were a couple like digital artists that they all got together to make a Simpsons version of Akira. And it was called Bart Kira. I wonder where. I bet there's some place where you can download it, like either internet.org or something. And yeah, all of these artists, like they got together and they're like, okay, you do pages 2 through 5. I'll do like 15 through 17 or something. And they kept the rules though. Like everybody is swapped out with characters from The Simpsons, and it's fucking it's cool. It's badass. And I don't know. It goes to show like when you watch a new TV show or new anime like Gantz or something, right? And it's just like it's all cell shaded, cheaply made bullshit. And I get it. Like, you know, like these days, like you make more money off of the cheap shit, so it's better just to double down on the cheap shit than working on high quality stuff. You know, like no one has the luxury of working on high quality shit. But yeah, Akira's just it's great. And even in the English dub, they got the voice of Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to be the voice of Kaneda. And I don't know, it's so cool. It's so badass. His name's Cam, I think, or something. And fuck yeah, dude. That's fucking cool. Another movie. Okay, so moving on to the next movie. This is another movie that I only watched once, and I'm never going to watch it again because it was just so sad and depressing. But it's a movie that I think if you want to understand Japan better, you have to watch it. And the movie's called Daremo Shiranai. And it's the English version is called Nobody Knows. And it's based on a true story about these kids who get abandoned by their mom. And the mom's like, don't you tell anybody that I abandoned you. Like, she could have put them in foster care or something, but she didn't. She's just mentally ill, fucking crazy piece of shit woman. And she abandons her kids, and they're forced to just basically live by themselves and stuff. And like their mom like kind of brainwashed them into like asking for help and shit, right? And it's a really fucking sad movie, but it's one of those things where it's like maybe stuff like this was going on in Japan, but nobody talked about it until they made like a movie out of it. And it's one of those movies where like it brought social change. Like remember like the Supersize movie, how like McDonald's got rid of their Supersize option just because the guy made a fucking documentary about it, even though it turns out he was just an alcoholic and that's why his liver went to shit versus McDonald's. But yeah, like that it's the same thing. Like people became more aware of like child neglect and shit that was happening, and because of that movie. And so, yeah, but like, you know, it's hard to watch, but if you can sit through it, you're going to be a bigger, better person, I think, because of that. So check that out. Nobody Knows. Just make sure your friends aren't around so they can't make fun of you while you cry. Another movie that's kind of like that, but not super serious, but it is kind of serious. It's called Manbiki Kazoku, or in Japanese, or the English version, I think it's called Shoplifters. And it basically just shows how Japanese kids are like, how Japanese people like to fucking steal shit, you know? Like, it shows, like, the poor class in Japan and how they're kind of, like, it's, how, like, when you're poor, it's kind of like the story of, like, whatchamacallit, like people on Indian reservations in America, right? Where it's like, you could get all this free money every month by not doing anything, or you could get a job. And so it's like, of course, people are just going to fucking not work, and then they don't have a purpose, so then they drink, and it's self-destructive. Same thing in this movie. It talks about how, like, you know, some people, they're, like, when their parents die, they purposely don't report it, so then they can keep getting free money from the government through, like, the pension program. You know, it talks about how people, like, really neglect their kids. Like, there's a lot of piece of shit parents in Japan. And like one part of the story, they're showing how this this kid was he wasn't abandoned, but his like parents left him in a car on top of a fucking, like, when they went to go play pachinko and they just left their baby in a car. They're just like, well, they didn't give a fuck. And yeah, and it's just like, it's stuff like that, and it's just I don't know, the movie just shows how everybody puts up a front to make it look important, but in the back, like, they're in the background, they're a piece of shit, right? And I really liked the Shoplifters movie because, yeah, it went to go and show that, like, there are people who are, like, you know, it's just like, it's one of those things, right, where it's like, there's a part in the movie where these kids that, like, they basically are taken in by this family of thieves because, they're taken in by this family of thieves because their original parents neglected them. And it sucks because, like, anyway, I won't spoil it, but the whole point is, it's just like, that, you know, like, the government only cares, like, the police only care about what's in the papers. They don't care about what actually is happening, as long as there's not enough people to create a stir and actually hold them accountable. And yeah, the movie really talks about that, and like, the movie was, like, critically acclaimed around the world. So yeah, you should definitely check it out, you know. And it's like, it reminds you, because I grew up poor, and I stole quite a bit when I was younger because we didn't have any fucking money. And yeah, I wouldn't want my kids to do that, you know. I wouldn't want that to be a thing for my future kids and stuff. So it's like, same thing, you know. Like, I don't know, it's good that they have a Japanese version of that too. It's a good reminder of, like, hey, don't complain. You don't know how good you got it, you know. So yeah, that's that movie. Next is a horror movie. There's not that many horror movies in Japan that I really like, because Japanese horror movies usually revolve around spirits or curses, and I really hate that, because, like, at least in America, it's like, oh, there's a bad guy. Okay, well, then you just fucking kill him, you know, like there you go. End of story. Boom, he's dead. Until somehow his spirit comes and inhabits something else, like the new Halloween or whatever, right? Like, they kill fucking Michael Myers and put his body in through, like, a meat grinder or something, but then his spirit just goes into somebody else. So I don't know. But I think for, like, most horror movies, like Scream or something, where it's just like, oh no, the guy was just a deranged killer, like, that's normal. In the real life, there are no ghosts, there are no possessions, there aren't any, like, unstoppable killing machines, you know. And so it's like, I don't know, I don't really, so that's, like, a reason why I don't really like Japanese horror movies, is because they're mostly based on, like, oh, this is a curse. Well, how do we get rid of the curse? Well, if it's a Fatal Frame video game, you just have to take pictures with a special camera of the ghost coming after you, and then that'll stop them. So it's basically Ghostbusters with cameras. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just like, at least with Japanese horror, sometimes it makes sense. Like, they'll have, like, a cult or something, like a tiny little town mountain cult. Like, Japan, that's a real thing in Japan sometimes, you know. Like, they've got cults here. Like, they have a history of having cults in Japan. So it's like, okay, that's a thing. But anyway, like, in Japan, a lot of violent crime happens usually among family members. Like, it's not like random people getting sucker punched by black people in New York, you know. it's not like that in Japan, luckily, right? But you know, it's just like, in this one, there's this movie called Audition, and it's by Takashi Miike, the same guy who did Dead or Alive. And it's about this guy who's, I think, yeah, his wife dies or something, and he's like a movie producer. And so, you know, and he's really sad. He hasn't gotten over it. And so his friend is like, why don't we just hold auditions for, like, a fake movie? And then, like, why don't we just, like, you know, and then you find the hottest chick that's there and, like, start hanging out with her and start, you know, like, dating her and stuff, and then just say the movie got canceled or whatever. And then, like, you can date her and you get, like, a hot chick, and the guy's like, okay, I'll do it. And then, like, you know, 2/3 of the movie, it's not horror. It's just a regular fucking movie. In fact, there's only one scene in the movie that would qualify as a horror part, like a horror scene. And I like that. Like, when I was younger, I hated that. I was like, this is supposed to be scary. Why is this not scary? But now I'm like, that took some balls to make a horror movie where it's not scary, you know? It's kind of like in The Exorcist. I don't know. To be fair, in The Exorcist, like, it was pretty scary, but like like the scene where she like walks down the stairs backwards and shit. Like okay, like that was a jump scare scene, but most of it's still fucking eerie and shit. But Audition's just like a regular ass movie with like a fucked up ending, and yeah. Anyway, I liked the movie. I thought it was cool. I really didn't like the son character though in Audition. I don't know why Japanese movies want to portray their men being like weak little faggot soy boys, because it's just. It's not, you know, like North Korea. They made it a rule like a couple years ago, or probably a lot longer ago, that they're like, oh yeah, like we don't want our men to be looking feminine, so no men get to have long hair. We want men to look like men. And yeah, I don't know why in Japanese movies they always got to make their men so weak and pathetic and scared and like just soy boyish. Like I don't know. It's just like whatever happened to having like really like real just like you know, masculine men teaching guys to, you know, get the facial hair. Like one of my best buddies here, Papa Tetsu, he's getting LASIK surgery or whatever you call it to not LASIK surgery, laser skincare or something. He basically he's sick and tired of shaving. He hates shaving, and in Japan you're not allowed to have a beard. Like it doesn't matter what kind of company you work for. Most of the time they don't want you to have a beard. It's just a rule. Even in a foreign company, right? And so my buddy Tetsu, he just got the laser thing, like, you know, 9 or what is it? It's like he got like it's like 19 or 20 times he got the laser treatment to his face, and so the facial hair won't grow anymore except for his stupid soul patch that he's got. And I was like, Tetsu, why are you doing that? He's like, I hate shaving, and if you're in Japan you can't have a beard. He's like, I would grow out a fucking beard if I could, but they won't let me. And I'm like, oh, that sucks, Tetsu. So yeah, you know, it's but anyway, I don't know, it's just I miss the like Japanese dudes used to be super hyper masculine, and I love that, you know, like that, like back in the day you watch 80s movies or something, or like samurai movies, and they're just like, yeah, and like take in mind these are like skinny tiny Asian dudes, but they're just like, yeah, like, you know, I'm a man. I'm a man. Yeah, so I don't know, blah blah blah. Speaking of being a man, the next movie I want to talk about is Zatoichi. Zatoichi is the story of a blind guy who's actually like a really talented swordsman, and it was so popular that they made, like, back in the day they would make a bunch of movies. Like if one movie was popular, they would just make 20 of them. They've got like Suribaka no Nishi. They've got like Otoko wa Surayo, and then they had like Godzilla, and like, you know, and then they also have like Zatoichi. And Zatoichi was pretty cool. It's basically the series that put Katsu Shintaro on the map. And Katsu Shintaro is fuck, I forgot. His son, is it Makenyu is his son or Sanichiba's son? Anyway, I mean, like, he was a really popular dude, and Zatoichi is like, it's like one of those like characters like fucking Paul Bunyan or Billy the Kid or something. Like, it's just I don't know if it's based off a real person or anything, but he's just one of these characters where like they get to play around with it in different media and stuff. So there's like 20 of those Katsu Shintaro movies, like the original Zatoichis, and there's been a bunch of different ones up until now. There was a Beat Takashi one, which was pretty good, and I don't know, that movie was all right though. Like, it wasn't too bad, but the one I loved was Zatoichi the Last, and if you guys look it up on YouTube, you can find it. Like, somebody, like some Portuguese guy uploaded it or something, and it is fucking amazing. It's really good. It's basically like a realistic take on Zatoichi, like, you know, and it's like, well, how can you make like a super semi-invincible blind swordsman into a realistic movie? And it's really good. And the guy who plays the Zatoichi, he's Katori Shingo, I think is his name. He's from one of the oldest like famous boy bands in Japan called SMAP. And these boys can act. Like, surprisingly, these guys can act despite being just you know, boy band boys. And this movie, it shows how Zatoichi, he's like finally found love, and him and his girlfriend or wife, they're gonna, like, you know, because he killed all these dudes, these people are always like hunting him and stuff. And anyway, him and his wife or whatever, they're trying to get away, and he tells her just to run, and he's gonna take care of all these dudes. Like, he can't have her around as, like, you know, like she'd be a hindrance, like, you know, she'd be in the way. And so he tells her to run, and then she's like, oh no, he's gonna die. And then she comes back, and like after he's killed all these dudes who ambushed him, like she comes back and she hugs him, and then like this guy, because Zatoichi is distracted by his woman, this you know, this guy comes out of nowhere and cheap shots him, and he was gonna stab Zatoichi, but instead Zatoichi's wife and Zatoichi gets stabbed, and so she dies because she was a dumb bitch. I'm sorry, I love women, but god damn it, like, when your guy says I can fight, leave me alone, and all you're doing is just gonna hug him so you can die with him, like, I felt no sympathy for this woman. Like, I felt sympathy for fucking Zatoichi, and it sounds so incel-y, right? And it's like, no, it's like, why do women always have to be these like fucking, like, you know, luggage? You know, like, the dude said he was gonna take care of it. Anyway, she dies, he gets all depressed, and like he recovers from his stab wound, and he makes his way to this fishing village that's on the coast, and he basically starts helping them and everything. And there's like a Yakuza group there that's like terrorizing this fishing village, and they're like basically gonna take all their food and like let them starve and shit, right? And so like Zatoichi kind of goes in there and fucks up their shit. And I really liked the movie just because it was like a very slow paced, but like it had a decent amount of progression. Like, the pacing wasn't bad despite being slow paced. And I love it how Zatoichi, up until now, as far as I'm aware, he didn't do this thing where he whistled. And like they've talked about this in like documentaries and YouTube movies where blind people sometimes use whistling like sonar, like dolphins use to like fucking see shit. And I love it how they incorporated that into the movie. So like it kind of makes sense why he gets to see people, and like how it's not just like he's magic and he has heightened senses or whatever, right? And I don't know, I really enjoyed that part of the movie. And also just like you know, it's like, well, what about like you know, what if the guy like rolled down a hill, and he obviously can't control seeing shit because he's got like all this fucking sound going around him. And like, yeah, they prove that, like, you know, like he fucking rolls down a hill, he has no control, and he like runs his foot into like a wooden spike, and he spikes his foot, and it's just like, oh god, it's so painful. And yeah, I don't know, I just it seemed so realistic, and the movie is just, the actors are really good at the parts that they're supposed to play, and the soundtrack is amazing. And I feel like I've talked about this movie multiple times on my rants. Feel free to tell me if I've mentioned, I know I've mentioned this during my live streams, but I've probably mentioned this in my rants before. But yeah, the movie is just like, it's one of those movies where I could watch it a million times and I'm not going to get bored. Like, it's like a very rewatchable movie. Each time I watch it, there's something new that I can find that I appreciate about what they did. And the ending song is so powerful. I've never heard like an ending song like that before. The only thing that comes even remotely close is the songs from the original Berserk series, the original Berserk anime series. So yeah, anyway, I can't emphasize checking out that movie enough. That movie was fucking amazing. Anyway, I have a couple more on this list. I don't know if I'll be able to fit all of them here, but I'll try to get them in here. Next is the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi. There's been a lot of different documentaries on Japan. Like, there was that one, like the Selling Hopes and Dreams, like host documentary that they had about like you know, like hosts in Osaka and stuff. They have another movie. I don't know what other documentaries. They've had documentaries about like dudes whose wives kidnap their kids. I don't know. They've got plenty of different documentaries here, but the documentary of Jiro Dreams of Sushi, it's so well made that like it's just a lot of like, it really takes advantage of HD cameras, you know, HD cameras and slow motion, and really good quality, like audio quality. And it basically just covers the story. I mean, I really doubt there's not a single person out there who hasn't seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys haven't seen that. I feel like anybody who's remotely interested in Japan has probably seen that movie. But yeah, it's basically about this guy named Jiro. He was a sushi chef for a while, and then he decided to make his own sushi fucking restaurant. And then it's about his sons also starting their own sushi restaurants too. And it just goes through like his daily process about how he decides what sushi is going to be made, how to test for the ingredients to see if they're good, like how they go and they actually go and like go by bicycle to buy their daily fish supplies and stuff. It was really interesting, and it's funny because like they had whenever a big movie like this comes up, there's always like a scandal afterwards. And there was a scandal with the guy who made or who sold Jiro his rice. I forgot what it was about. Like maybe they were replacing the rice with like shittier rice or something. But yeah, it goes to show that like, rich people care more about the story versus quality half the time. But yeah, like, the story with the rice vendor is that the rice vendor only sells rice to Jiro. Like, he's the only one, like, Jiro's his only client because he only sells high-quality rice. And he's all, like, shaking his hand. He's like, yep, but he only sell to you. And then, like, there was a scandal or something. And anyway, I'm going to have to look it up later. But, yeah, the Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And it's so funny, too. Like, since a lot of people saw it, a lot of rich people's kids saw it, too. And so all these entitled brats were going there, and they're like, I want you to make what I want you to make. And he's like, that's not how it works. You come in here, you pay $300, and then I give you what I want to make that night, and then you just accept it. And they're like, this is bullshit. And he's like, well, get the fuck out. And they're like, fuck you, man. And yeah, so unfortunately he had to deal with like a lot of entitled rich kids thanks to that documentary. But still, it's great fucking... It's a great movie. You guys should check it out. And if you guys have any other like Japan documentaries that you like, that you think I'd like or other people like, please put them down in the comments, because I haven't really found any other documentaries that I was like, oh, that's pretty good, I guess the last movies that we could talk about these are two movies that I think every junior high school kid should be forced to watch. And it's Grave of the Fireflies and BareFootGen. These are both animated movies about the aftermath of World War II, after the atomic bombs dropped on Japan. The Grave of the Fireflies is about these two kids. Their parents die or whatever. They go to live with their relatives. Their relatives are just pieces of shit, and they just make it horrible for them. So they go and live by themselves. And yeah, and then it just talks about the shit that happens after that. If you haven't looked up the movie or you don't know the ending, don't look it up. Just watch the movie. And don't worry, I'm not going to judge you if you don't want to watch it a second time. BareFootGen, Grave of the Fireflies ends on a down note, like most Japanese movies. BareFootGen ends on a high note, which was good considering most of that movie's down. But BareFootGen is more of Grave of the Fireflies is more of like a kind of like, it just is revolving around the two people for the most part. But BareFootGen is about BareFootGen and his family, but also all the people they encounter in Hiroshima and stuff. It's more of like the bigger picture, the bigger story of like what's happening with all these other people, and it shows all this stuff, man. Like all these people, they died from drinking irradiated water. People are leaking blood out of their assholes and just dying from blood just leaking out of them. It's a pretty fucked up story, but like I think everybody needs to know about that story, and that's like one of the reasons why like everyone got so fucking pissed off, and rightfully so, of that piece of shit going around screaming Hiroshima and Nagasaki to everybody, because it's just like I don't know, it's like I grew up around Jewish people, so like I don't like it when like I love being edgy and stuff. I love being edgy, but like when people deny like the Holocaust, I'm like, how? You have so many survivors. How do you think all of them collectively were like, we're gonna lie about this? Like, no, dude. Like, come on, man. And they're like, well, it just seems like an exaggerated number. It's like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. Like suffering it's like one of those things where it's like it happened. Like, you're trying to talk about minute details when it's clearly documented and everything. And it's just like same thing with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki stuff. Like, these people had nothing to do with the war. They were civilians. And they fucking got the brunt of the horrible, like most, like, you got to remember, there's only been 2 nukes that have been used up until now, in the whole time, you know, like since nukes were invented, and they were both in Japan, you know, and so, you know, when you joke casually about people dying like that, then yeah, you deserve to get your ass kicked in Israel. You know, yeah, fuck you, you know. But anyway, I recommend you both check out both of those movies because they're really good, and I have at least 5 here, and I'm gonna keep adding more. So if you guys liked this rant and you want to hear more like movie recommendations, let me know. And yeah, like if somebody could help me out with the timestamps, I'd really appreciate it. And so I can put them in there so you guys can see the different movies I'm talking about. And yeah, be sure to, if you made it this far, tell me, write down the secret comment of the day. The secret comment of the day is slam dunk these nuts, okay? Just slam dunk these nuts, write it down. There you go. And yeah, and yeah, we're going to do a live stream after this, so stay tuned for that. I should probably be putting the URL in there. And yeah, thanks always so much for the love and support, guys. And if you want to see a part 2 or 3, let me know. Anyway, you guys stay black. I'll talk to you later. Bye.